Good morning. Today is Thursday. We are starting the first Perek of Ma'aser Sheni. Baruch Hashem, we're on our way. Our siyum for Seder's run is on schedule for December 1st, a little bit more than 18 days away. Baruch Hashem, we are cruising through Shas Mishnayos. Today's shiur is sponsored Lilei Nishmas Aaron Nachum ben Simcha HaKohen, Yeshua Mordechai ben Shep, Sol Bracha Sarva Shmuel Leib, and B'yam Moshe ben Yosef. May the neshamas all have an aliyah. So, what is Ma'aser Sheni? As we know, Truma, if you have a field of, let's say, 100 bundles a week, let's say, okay, and you have a field of 100 bundles a week, the Truma goes first. Truma is about 2%, 1/50th. So you take two bundles, you take two out of the 100, you give it to the Kohen. After that, you have 98 left. Then you have Ma'aser Sheni, which is also given in all 6 years. Truma is given all 6 years. Then you have Ma'aser Sheni, which is 10% that goes to the lady. So if you have 98 left, 10% of that is about 10 pieces, 9.8 to be exact. You would take 10 off of the 98 and give that to the ladies. Now you're left with 88. Now you have Ma'aser Sheni, Ma'aser Ani. Ma'aser Sheni is given in years 1, 2, 4, and 5. And Ma'aser Ani is given in years 3 and 6 of the 7-year cycle. In years 1, 2, 4, and 5, Ma'aser Sheni, you take that next 10%, and you bring it up to Yerushalayim and you eat it there. Or if it's too much, you could redeem it outside Yerushalayim and bring the money of Ma'aser Sheni up to Yerushalayim and eat it in Yerushalayim. It can only be used for eating, drinking, or for anointing. It cannot be used for any other purpose. And then once you finish those, and then years 4, 3, and 6, you get Ma'aser Ani with that 10%. Instead of Ma'aser Sheni goes to the Ani. And so what happens, nowadays when you don't, Ma'aser Sheni still applies nowadays, as do Trumas and Maasers, but you can't eat it because we're all tummy. So you put it onto a little coin and you throw the coin into the Yam HaMelech. That's how it usually goes, so the coin is destroyed. That's the way that works nowadays. So let's get into this. Mishnah Aleph. Mishnah Aleph. Ma'aser Sheni. Ma'aser Sheni is subject to the following rules, the laws. Ein marchin also, you may not sell it. Vein mashkin also, and you may not use it as security for a loan. Vein machlifin also, and you may not trade it for another item. You can redeem it, but you cannot trade it. You can eat the Ma'aser Sheni, but it does not belong to you. It belongs to Hashem. It's divine property. There was someone who holds it. He does not have the right to make a transaction with it. You can eat it, but you cannot sell it, and you cannot trade with it. Shoklin Kenegdo. In addition, one may not weigh other items against Ma'aser Sheni, meaning that you can't put Ma'aser Sheni on a scale in order to determine the weight of something else, because you can't put a sacred object on to such a disrespectful use. And even in Yerushalayim, a person may not say to his friend, "Heilach yayin b'tein li shemen." Take this Ma'aser Sheni wine and give me oil in exchange. So even though a person may spend Ma'aser Sheni money on food in Yerushalayim, he cannot exchange Ma'aser Sheni produce for a different food. If he's exchanging it for oil that's not Ma'aser Sheni. Right. And all these activities are likewise forbidden for all other kinds of Ma'aser Sheni produce, even those that are only rabbinically chayiv and maestros. I will notice things but people may give each other Ma'aser Sheni as a free gift, meaning that it's permitted to invite someone to a meal and serve him Ma'aser Sheni. So if we're getting together for a meal and I'm bringing the wine, you're bringing the oil, and he's bringing wheat, and he's bringing fruit or whatever else, maybe it's Ma'aser Sheni, it's no problem. You could all enjoy the suda together, and again, you guys can share, but you cannot do with a business arrangement. Mishnah Beis, Ma'aser Behema. Um, so we have Ma'aser Behema. Ma'aser Behema is a Ma'aser on the animals. So every year, a person must set aside one out of every 10 cows, sheep, or goats that were born to his flock that year. Um, they the ones that are sanctified, if they have no mumim, then they are brought as korbanos. If they do have mumim, take a blemish, and they are not able to be brought as korbanos, then they can be eaten as regular meat. So let's discuss this now. Ma'aser behema. An animal that is ma'aser behema has the following halachas: ein machrin oso tamim chai, or may not sell it if it has no blemishes and is alive. Because if it's no blemishes and it's alive, it has to be brought as a korban. Or if it has a blemish, whether it's alive or slaughtered, in which case it is to be eaten by the owner. And one may not do kiddushin with it. Cannot do kiddushin with Ma'aser behema. Habechor. What about the bechor? So bechor is a firstborn male cow, sheep, or goat, and it must be given to a kohen. It's different than Ma'aser behema. Ma'aser behema is lav dafka a bechor. So the firstborn animal, male animal, and if it has no mum, then the kohen brings it as a korban. If it has a mum, then the kohen eats it as regular meat. So mochen oso tamim chai, the kohen who receives it may sell it if it is unblemished and alive. The baal mum chai v'shachar, and if it's blemished, if it has a mum, then the kohen may sell it whether it's alive or slaughtered. This only applies nowadays when there's no Beis Hamikdash. But since you can't bring it as a korban, then it becomes the kohen's personal property. But if there's a Beis Hamikdash, then that animal that has no mumim, it has to be given as a korban. Al asimon, one may not transfer the kedusha from a Ma'aser Sheni to a blank coin. What a blank coin means that they cut the metal for the coin, but it was never stamped. It's a blank. It doesn't have any value. Lo al hamatbeya she'en yotze, nor to a coin that cannot be spent, like a coin from another country. Like if you're walking around America and you have I don't know, Mexican pesos, or you have like some currency from South Africa or whatever the case may be. There's nothing to do with it over here. So you can't use that. Below al hamalish and you cannot use money. You cannot redeem a money that's not currently in his possession. Mean that you have that you own them, but they're not here. Right? So some of the first give an example, like if the guy's money bag fell into the sea, he's not getting it back. Technically, those coins are still his, but he can't get to it, so therefore you can't use it to redeem the Ma'aser Sheni. Mishnah Gimel. Halokech behemel azeh chishlamim. Someone buys a domestic animal, like a cow, sheep, or goat, with Ma'aser Sheni money in order to bring it as a shlamim offering. Oh, chaya lebasar taiva. Or he buys a non-domestic animal, for example, a deer, to eat as ordinary meat. Yatsa or the chulin, and the hide, which is not food, becomes chulin. And even though the meat has Ma'aser Sheni kedusha, the actual hide of the animal is chol. Ava pisha or maruba, ava basrit. This is true even if the hide is worth more than the meat. If the person buys the animal for the meat, not for the hide, then the hide is not considered a significant part of the sale and does not take on Ma'aser Sheni kedusha. Kada yain sumos. Someone buys closed jugs of wine with Ma'aser Sheni money. Malcolm Shadarkan Machar sumos. If he's in a place where it's common for wine to be sold in closed jugs, where the wine is sold with the jug, yatsa kankal chulin. Then, therefore, the jug becomes chulin. It does not have the Ma'aser Sheni kedusha. The transaction is considered to be a sale of wine, but the jug simply comes along with it as per the local custom. Therefore, only the wine takes on Ma'aser Sheni's kedusha. Like you can say the same thing about, like, say, orange juice or like apple juice. Are you buying the container or are you buying the juice inside of it? The juice comes inside a container. So a container doesn't have any kedusha, but the juice inside does. It goes in by ashkedim. Similarly, if someone buys walnuts or almonds that are in their shells, yatsa, they pay them the chulin. Their shells become chulin. That they do not have kedusha. They're not part of the sale. Hatemed. The law for temed is as follows: If it has not yet fermented, it may not be bought with Ma'aser Sheni money because it is considered wine flavored water and may not be bought with Ma'aser Sheni money. But once it has fermented, it may be bought with Ma'aser Sheni money because it is considered food. Halakea chaya lezivchi shlamim, the Mishnah Dalet. Halakea chaya lezivchi shlamim. If someone buys with Ma'aser Sheni money a non-domestic animal with the intention to bring it as a shlamim offering, which is not possible, because a non-domestic animal would never be brought as an offering. You can't bring a deer as a korban. Behema, or he uses Ma'aser Sheni money to buy a domestic animal to eat as ordinary meat, which is forbidden. You cannot use Ma'aser Sheni money to buy domestic animals unless they're being used as korbanos. Interesting. Lo yatsa or the chulin. In these cases, both of the non-domestic animal that used as a shlamim or the domestic animal to eat as ordinary meat. In both these cases, the skin does not become chulin because the sale is not valid. Therefore, the kedusha is not lost. If he buys jugs with wine, whether the jugs are open or closed, in a place where it is common for wine to be sold out of open jugs, meaning that the wine is usually measured out and sold without the jug. The jug does not become chulin. It takes on kedusha, since it's not usually included in the sale. Again, since the jug is not included in the sale of the wine, and the sale does include a jug, it's as though it's being purchased separately with part of the Ma'aser Sheni money. Since it's bought Ma'aser Sheni money, it takes on Ma'aser Sheni's sanctity. Okay. Saleh Zaysim, Saleh Navim Im Hakli. Someone buys baskets of olives or baskets of grapes together with the container. Lo Yatsadame Hakli Lechulin. The amount of money that is, the value of the container does not become chulim. The money that keeps its kedusha does not transfer to the basket. Although the purchase of the fruit is valid and the fruit takes on kedusha, the basket is not food and therefore may not be bought with Ma'aser Sheni money, and the purchase of the basket is not valid. Mishnah Hey, Halokeach Mayim Melech. Someone buys the Ma'aser Sheni funds of water or salt, or produce that is still attached to the ground. Oh, Peres Enan Yecholin Yerushalayim, or produce that cannot reach Yerushalayim without spoiling. In any of these cases, Lo Kana Ma'aser, the Ma'aser Sheni does not acquire these items. The purchase is void because these items are not similar to the Torah's examples, what may be bought with Ma'aser Sheni money. Therefore, the money keeps its Ma'aser Sheni status, and the items do not take on any kedusha. Halokeach Peros, someone who buys produce outside Yerushalayim with Ma'aser Sheni money, shogeg, if he did so by mistake, meaning he didn't realize that the money had Ma'aser Sheni kedusha, yachsru danum l'mekoman. The money is returned to its place. He returns the produce and receives his money back. It can be assumed that he never would have used the money if he knew that had kedusha, and therefore the sale is considered a mistake and is void. Ma'aser. However, if he spent the Ma'aser Sheni money purposely, being that he knew that it's Ma'aser Sheni money, then the sale takes effect and the produce takes on Ma'aser Sheni kedusha. Therefore, then therefore it must be brought up and eaten in Yerushalayim. Sorry, and if there's no base in Mikdash, in which case Ma'aser Sheni cannot be eaten at all, not even Yerushalayim, then it must be left to rot, and be destroyed. If it becomes tummy, then you can transfer the kedusha to a coin and have the coin destroyed instead. Mishnah Vav, 2 more to go. Keach behema shogeg, if someone outside Yerushalayim buys an animal with Ma'aser Sheni money by mistake, meaning he didn't realize the money has Ma'aser Sheni kedusha, yachshu damer l'mekoman, the money paid for the animal is returned to its place, and that the sale is void. If he returns Ma'aser, however, if he spent the Ma'aser Sheni money purposely, then the sale takes effect. Therefore, therefore the animal must be brought up and eaten in Yerushalayim. If there's no base in Mikdash, to cover al yedei ora. It may be buried together with its hide, since the animal and its hide have Ma'aser Sheni kedusha. It may not be used in any event. Okay, Mishnah Zayin, last one for today. Ein lochin avodim u'shvachos v'kakos v'behemet tameh midamei Ma'aser Sheni. We may not buy male or female slaves, land, or a non-kosher animal with Ma'aser Sheni money. This Ma'aser Sheni may be used only to buy food. If someone did buy any of these items of Ma'aser Sheni money, as a penalty, he must eat with Ma'aser Sheni a kedusha food that was equal to the amount of money he spent illegally. So if he spent $1,000 on any of these above items, on slaves, land, and non-kosher animals, then you would have to use another $1,000 to buy more produce and eat it in Yerushalayim as Ma'aser Sheni. It's knas. We may not bring pairs of birds as offerings for zavim. The kane zavos, or pairs of birds as offering for zavos. The kane yalados, or pairs of birds as offering for women who have just given birth, chatos v'hashamos, or chatas offerings, or asham offerings, midame Ma'aser Sheni, from Ma'aser Sheni money. Since these korbanos are a shiur, they must be brought with your personal money and not with Ma'aser Sheni money. Heavy, connect them. And if someone did bring them using Ma'aser Sheni money, as a penalty, he must eat food that is of equal value to the Ma'aser Sheni money that he spent. And finally, Zaklal, this is the rule kosher, chutz la'achila b'lishtia, v'lesicha midemei Ma'aser Sheni. If any item other than something used for eating, drinking, or rubbing onto one's skin is bought with Ma'aser Sheni money, yochel kenegdo, as a penalty, the buyer must eat food that is of equal value to the Ma'aser Sheni money that he spent on it originally. That's the end of Perek Aleph. We'll see you tomorrow for Perek Beis. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe.